Hello guys, hope all of you are doing great. Welcome to our C programming tutorial video series. This is part 1 of the video series. In this part of the video, I'll be telling you how to make your PC or laptop ready for C programming. For some reason, you might not have a computer or laptop with you and only might have a smartphone. In that case, how to write and practice C programming, that I'll be telling you in the last few minutes of the video. So if you do not have the computer, only looking for a way of writing code and executing code, then you can skip towards the last say 5 minutes of the video. Then you'll come to know how to handle that situation. But if you have a laptop or if you have a computer, then what I suggest you is that you go through this video and follow the steps. Hardly it will take you a few minutes, maybe tens of minutes based on your internet speed. But however, whatever it is, if you follow these steps, then your computer will be ready for all the C programs that you might want to write. See, you will never need any internet connection or anything. If you have only the PC with these softwares installed, then anytime you can write a C program, and you can check the output and check your understanding. Having said so, let's now come to the point, like what are the softwares that you need actually to make your computer ready, to make your computer a programmer's computer. Okay. So if you are like programming right now in C programming language, then only one software is essential, and that is this GCC compiler. See, essential software to run C program is this GCC compiler. That is essential. If you have this GCC compiler program installed in your computer, then your computer is ready to write C code and execute C programs. Okay. But other than that, once you have that, although you can do all the things, but if you add these extra software in a computer, if you install this extra software which is called as Visual Studio Code Editor, if you install this extra software, then it will give you some, it will enhance your code writing experience. You will sort of, I'm telling you, you will love coding, you will fall in love with coding. It just gives you that experience. Okay, so for that reason, I will also suggest you people, although it is not necessary, but if you have time, you please install this Visual Studio Code Editor before actually going through the other concepts of C programming language, going through the details of C programming languages, or going through the before actually starting the journey of learning C programming language. Okay, so these two steps you just follow. These two softwares you just install in a computer, and then you are ready to get the experience, learn the things. Okay, let's now first see this essential part, like what is this GCC compiler, how do we get it, how to install it, and what are the other things that we have to do, to make our computer ready in terms of this GCC compiler. Okay, so for that reason, see here, what is a GCC compiler? This picture tells you more or less the story about a compiler. What does a compiler do? What is a compiler basically? See here, a compiler is nothing but it is a program. It is already written program, okay? So it is a program that takes the source code of the programs that you write. See, in this video series, whatever the programs that you will be writing, they will look more or less like this actually. In fact, these few lines of code you will see in almost all the C programs that you write. It is sort of the minimum C program that people people would like to write, actually useful, minimum useful C program, sort of like that. Okay, only one line of code actually, essentially. Okay, but whatever it is, what the point is that GCC is, or a compiler is, a program that takes the source code of the program that you write, and it converts that source code written by you into equivalent machine level code, which you can think of like the code written in zeros and ones. Okay, we could have now initially, like I'm telling you the story when the computer was first developed, or like people first build computer. Those days, at the very beginning age, only people used to write codes in zeros and ones. directly, programming the microprocessor actually. But you see, writing code in zeros and ones is quite difficult. I mean, you cannot see, for example, this is a program, and by you wrote this code, and this is the right code, say, but for some reason, by some mistake, you change this one from you by mistake you type this one as zero. In that case, your program is wrong actually. So identifying that mistake there, like this one is not actually a one, it should be a zero, or this zero is not actually a zero, it should be a one, is sort of difficult. I mean, you can comprehend that point, right? So for that reason, actually, what people did is first, actually, they developed something called as an intermediate programming language. You can think of like that is called as assembly language. Then again, on the top of that, like one bit more advanced than this assembly code, it is called as high level programming language. Okay, one C is one of the high level programming language where you write your code more or less like in human readable format. Now see, this is quite readable, isn't it? I mean, if you know the rules of the programming language, then you will be able to identify the mistakes also. Here I did a mistake actually, like if you know C programming, then you'll be knowing that this int writing in this fashion is a mistake. But anyhow, like I guess people got the point. Like writing code in this way is quite easy than writing code in this way. So for that reason, what people did is they wrote a program. All I mean, this is a mechanical process, sort of converting your source code written in high level programming language to equivalent zeros and ones machine code is a mechanical process. What people did is they wrote a program that does that thing actually automatically. Like you just write the code in high level programming language following the syntax and rules of that particular language, submit it to a compiler specific to that programming language, and that compiler will automatically do the heavy lifting, and it will convert it to equivalent machine code or equivalent codes of zeros and ones that we call as a exe file in terms of Windows, or maybe if you're using Linux or some Apple, then maybe it is called as p1.out. But the point is here, the compiler takes the source code of your of the program that you write. If your program is right, then it will convert it to its equivalent machine code. And that equivalent machine code you can think of like, okay, it is a executable program. Now, you see here, I use the same symbol to represent this GCC compiler, and the final once you compile the program to represent that compiled program, I use the same symbol just to indicate you that the way GCC is a program that you can execute just by writing its name or just by double clicking on it, the same way P1 is also a program, say whatever the name you want to give, but whatever you get the output of the compiler is also a program that you can directly execute in the computer. You got the point? So it means what? GCC compiler is important to convert your source code to actually a program, a software. You can create software of your own in some sense, okay? You can create software of your own if you have this GCC compiler. See, any program you can write and you will get this equivalent version of the executable file that you can directly run in the computer. Got the point? Now, if you have understood that much, then we are ready now. Like these are three steps that you have to follow. First thing is download the installer. Quite easy. All these steps are quite easy. Okay. Download the installer. I'll be telling you how to get the link. Install the compiler. Once you download, you have to install it certainly. And then at the end, slight, you have to do these, some settings. One setting exactly, set the path variable. These three steps, I'm just mentioning them here just as a checklist. Actually, these are things that you have to do. Okay, first come to this point. Now download the installer. How you're going to get the installer? For that, you just type GCC for Windows in Google, and then this out of these search results, you'll be clicking on this mingw minimalist GNU for Windows download. You click on that particular link, and you should be redirected to this particular page. Now see, what I'll do is I'll put this link in the description section, so you can simply click on that link and you will be redirected to this page. Okay, once you are here, you will be clicking on this download button. In a while, the installer will be downloaded in your computer. Now it is done. So once it is done, you should get this installer downloaded in your computer. mingw get set up. Here it is 6 coming because I have downloaded it quite a few numbers of time, but in your case you should see this setup file downloaded in your computer. Once it is downloaded, what you do is you just double click on this installer, click on install, click on continue. Don't need to change any of the things here. You just go on clicking next or install or whatever it is asking you to do. Now see, I already have installed this compiler in my computer, so for that reason it is showing me this window. But in your case, if you're installing it for the first time, you will get the smooth flow of normal flow of installing it. So for the time being, just to show you, I'm just clicking on this reinstall button. You'll be seeing a window when you are installing it, something like this. It might take some time if you're installing it for the first time, because it has to download a lots of other supporting programs or some files there. So based on your internet speed, it might take some time. But have some patience and wait till it asks you to proceed to the next step. So in my case, it is asking me whether I want to continue or not. Okay, I'll be clicking on continue, and then it will be showing you all the packages that you might have to install. In my case, these packages are already installed, so it is they're coming in, say, in green color. But in your case also, it should not be very much difficult to follow. You just have to select those packages related to C compiler, and then you have to go to this installation and maybe apply changes button you have to click. In this case, it is deactivated because I already have installed it and I don't have any other packages to install. But in your case, you can just wait for 5-10 minutes. It will download the necessary packages and all, and it will install the necessary software in your computer. Once that process is done, up to this point things are quite straightforward. Okay, you just follow the steps, things will be done. But once that step is done, suppose you people have successfully installed the GCC compiler in your computer, say up to this point it is done. Now what is the next step? Okay, then what you do is, once you have installed it, now you go to your computer. You see, I'm going to my computer, and then inside that C drive. Okay, like see here, what you do is you just type PC, my PC here, and then I'm going to C drive there. So inside this C drive, you remember this GC oblique mingw. So this mingw folder you should see. If it is installed properly, then this folder will be created automatically. You do not have to do it by yourself. It will be created automatically. Now, once that folder is, if you see that folder, you just double click on that folder. You should see these few subfolders there inside that mingw folder. And inside that, importantly, this bin folder, you just double click on this bin folder. Inside that, you'll be seeing an application that is called as named as GCC, and it is the program actually I was talking about. It is the main program that converts your C program source code to equivalent machine code, that converts your source code to some some application, you see, to some application, so or to some software, in some sense you can say like that. So what? So where do you see that? It is there in, like, once you install mingw, automatically in your C drive, mingw folder will be created. Inside that, this bin folder should be there. Inside this bin folder, you should have this GCC compiler there. Okay, now where is your GCC folder? It is there in C mingw oblique bin. So what are the steps we have covered? We have downloaded the installer, installed the compiler, and now the last step is setting the path variable. Let's see how to do that. To set the path variable, you type in your search bar, you type environmental variable, the way I'm typing here, okay? And just type env, this edit the system and sorry, edit the system environment variables, control panel. These options should come. You just click here, and then system properties there in advanced tab should be selected, and from there you'll be, you should see this environment variable option there, a button there. You have to click on that particular button, and when you click on that button, this window will come, and inside this window you'll see this is a path variable. This is a system variable. You don't need to worry much about it for the time being. What you just follow the things as I say. Okay, I mean, you will come to know about it very soon. You will automatically realize, actually, even if I don't tell you the things. Okay, so what the point is, you just have to double click on this path variable. That's all. Once you do that, now see, you click on a new path variable there, edit environmental variables. Basically, you have to add here one extra line. Okay, you double click there, you will be able to type, or what you do is you just can click on new, then also you'll be able to type there. Now what you are going to type there? You are going to type there the path of the GCC compiler. Where in your computer is the GCC compiler? That we already know, right? Where it is? It is there in C drive's mingw bin folder. So this is the part of the GCC compiler. Like whenever like you want to access the GCC compiler, where the computer should go for, like where it should find that particular program, it should find the program inside this particular folder. So that part you just copy. Okay, you open from your Windows browser that bin folder. You should see something like this, and then from this address bar you just copy the path, and then you paste the path here, and that's all. You just click on OK, and then done. Just again, just to make sure that it is set, you again, once again, after closing it, once again open it, you should see now this new line at the end, c colon mingw c colon slash mingw slash bin. So that way you make sure that your path variable is set properly. Now that's all. Then it means your GCC compiler is installed in your computer. But how do you now make use of that GCC compiler? Okay, for that reason, now see, as I said, now GCC compiler is the sufficient software that you need to execute a C program. But before that, let me show you how you can access this GCC compiler from your laptop. So for that reason, what you do is you type in your command, in your search bar, you type there command cmd. Okay, so this option will come, command prompt. So press enter. So this is your command prompt. That way also you can start the command prompt, or you can do Windows R, and then there you type command cmd and press enter. That way also your command prompt will open. Now you see right now your command prompt should show you like c colon users oblique whatever the name of your user. Okay, like in my case it is RCB. But in your case it might be slightly different, but don't worry about it. Now here what you do is whatever it is, you just type there GCC. As soon as you type there GCC, you will see GCC fatal error, no input file, compilation terminated. Okay, now it means what? GCC is now recognized. You see here, GCC is a program that requires a input file which it has to convert to its equivalent, like machine code. So simply if you type run the program GCC, certainly since it was expecting a file as an input, since it is not getting the input. So if you simply type GCC, obviously you have not specified any input file. So for that reason, it is showing you an error, like fatal error, the input file is missing. But then also the good news is that GCC is properly installed, it is properly working. Here, okay, now if it is the case, then what you do is how we can verify. There are another ways. You can type GCC minus minus or hyphen hyphen version. So it will be telling you what version. Like if GCC is properly installed, then some text like this you will be seeing in your computer. I mean, as an output of that particular command. So that way you can verify, okay, your GCC compiler is installed properly. Now, okay, our installation is done. Now, I said you are ready to write and you are ready to do anything. I mean, all the C programming tasks only by having that GCC compiler. Now, is it so? And if it is so, how it is? Okay, for that reason, what we'll be doing is just follow these steps, properly. What we'll be doing is we'll be first, just to maintain our code properly, what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a folder first. Okay, let me do it. Okay, where we are going to create, say for example, I'll be clicking on this PC, and in C drive I already have created a folder C, but for the time being let me delete it, and again let me create a folder, and let's call it, say, C. All our C programs, we'll be keeping it here inside this particular folder C. But the thing is, see, you might be thinking, okay, is it really important to call the folder C? No, it is not. So I'll be calling it, say for example, C programs. C programs. Okay, so that way you just create a folder, you give any name to the folder. The point is inside that folder we'll be keeping all our files. That way it will, like, we don't have to search. Like, you can create the files anywhere, no problem, but the thing is that it's a good idea, right? You keep your things in a proper way so that you don't have to waste your time searching them and all. So the same policy here, it's just a maintenance task that I'm doing. maintenance task that I'm doing. Okay, so what am I doing is I'm in C drive, I'm creating a folder, I'm calling it C programs. You can create a folder anywhere you want, you can call it anything you want. Okay, but yeah, okay, now C programs is created. Now inside this C program folder, I want to create a C program. I want to write the source code of a C program, our first C program. Okay, see here, if I can create the source code, then I know the rest of the things are done. I mean, my source code I can give to the GCC compiler. It will convert that source code to machine code, and I can execute the machine code, no problem. But the thing is the source code. How do I get the source code? How do I write the source code? If all these questions are coming into your mind, then don't worry. Writing the source code is as simple as creating a notepad file and done. You just create a notepad file the way I just have created it. Okay, just right click in the folder, click on new, and then click on this text document. Done. Okay, so that way just create the text document first and then open the text document. Notepad, in notepad it should be open if you're using Windows. Okay, so once it is open, then you first rename the file. Rename the file in the sense you do this thing, whatever I am doing. You first click on file and you click on save as. Okay, you should get this window, and then you give it a name, proper name. Say for example P1 or P2 or any name that you want. You can call it. This is the file name. Actually, this is the main part. You can give any name that you want, any valid name you want. Like you can call it P1, my first C program, or ABC XYZ, whatever it is that you want to call it, you can call it. But one important thing is you have to at the end write this .c to indicate. Now like this .c is called as the extension of a file that indicates the type of the file. If it is a text file, normal text file, then the type will be .txt. If it is a C program file, then the extension should be .c. If it is a C++ program, then .cpp, Java program, .java, or if it is a PDF file, then the .pdf. If it is an image file, then .jpg or .png. So that way, the extension actually specifies or indicates what type of file or what type of data that particular file contains. So if it is a C source file, then always you have to call it something.c. That something part could be anything, but the .c part is mandatory. You understood? Okay, that is the first step. And then here, save type as, then you have to click on these all files. It means p1.c, that .c you are saying, when you select all files, it means you're saying the computer, okay, .c you consider as an extension, not part of the file name. You consider it as an extension. So if you click on text document, then it will be p1.c if you write and then save as text, then it will be saved as like p1.c.txt. Got the difference? But if you select all file types, then p1.c, if you save, it will be saved as p1 as the file name, .c as the extension. I guess you people got the idea, right? And then you click on save. Now, see, I just saved that, and now I'm closing it. I'll be showing it in the folder again, C programs folder. Now you see, this p1.c, this particular file is C. Automatically, if I keep my mouse cursor here, you can see that type is C source file, size is 0 bytes, date modified is this. Obviously size is 0 in the sense I have not written anything inside that file. .c tells, okay, this is a C program source file, and that's all. So we have actually created our first program. Now only thing is that we have to actually write some code there. That's all. So you do not need this text file anymore, so I'm just deleting it. Okay, so our file is there. If you double click, it might open with some default editor, but what you do is, to make sure, if you do not have any other editor installed already, then by default it will be opened in Notepad, I guess. But what you can do is you can right click and then you can click on open with, and sorry, here it was opened in some code block or something, but I don't want that right now. You right click and you click on open with, and then see, these are all valid editors on which I can open this particular file. So I'll be selecting this notepad editor, okay, and I'm opening this just to show you that if you have only this GCC installed and notepad, certainly you have, if you're using Windows, then you are ready to write any program. Okay, then I said that thing many a times. Now let's actually write a program and check the output. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to write the sort of a very simple program. If you do not follow it right now, then do not need to worry. It is just to show you how to write the code, how to execute the code. I'll be telling you about the details of the program in our coming videos. Okay, So for the time being, what you can do is you can simply type the code the way I'm typing it, and you can test your compiler whether it is properly installed or not. That's our goal. Okay. So hash, you'll be reading this symbol as hash include and then standard input output dot h. That is how you read that. stdio you can call it, but it is a good idea that you call it standard input output dot h. And then you'll be writing int main open close parenthesis open flower bracket close flower bracket. Inside that you just write printf and put this semicolon double quotation hello world. This is the program that I showed you in my first screen. I mean, no, first yeah, screen. I said, what was that? Slide. Yes. And then return retur and return 0. Okay, this is the minimum program, that will give you a quite a satisfactory output actually. So that's a valid C program. Okay, now I have written the program. Now the thing is I have to save it. I'll just click on save. So that way my p1.c file is ready. I mean, my source code is ready. This is exactly the source code that I showed you in my first slide. Now, if I submit this source code to the compiler, it should be able to convert it to its equivalent machine code, which we can execute actually. Okay, then having said so, I'll close this file. Now, just to make sure that things are okay, right click again and open with Notepad. It should show you the program once again. So our program is ready. And where our program is, this program is there in C drive C programs folder. Okay, you see C drives C program, C hyphen programs folder. I'm keeping it open here on side by side, and then I'll go to this command prompt that we just started. No, like when we checked this GCC version thing, this command prompt. Now see, there are things here. It is good that you understand. Just a second. Yep, right here. See, the part here is C colon slash C programs, whereas in command prompt your path is like C colon users oblique slash no, RCB in this case. So you want to change your, this is called as your current directory. Okay, so what you want is, if you want to execute your program from command prompt, you would like to change your this part, you want to change to whatever the folder where your source code is there. Okay, that is, in this case we want to change the path to this particular folder. Okay, how do we do that? For that, you just type this command. Don't worry, you have to do it only once. I mean, if you do it one every day, the same thing you will be doing more or less. Okay, cd, that actually stands for change directory, and cd, where you want to change, you want to change it to C colon slash this part actually, here C colon slash C. It is not case sensitive. Sorry, I typed it in wrong place here. It is not case sensitive. You can write uppercase, lowercase, anything. Okay, but the thing is you have to write the spelling right. C colon slash then C hyphen programming or programs, programs. That's the folder name. So it will see here, what we're instructing the computer to do is change the current directory to this particular folder. That's all. You cannot start writing from here. Okay, you have to write the entire part. C colon slash whatever the name of the folder where your where you want to store your C programs. It could be like C colon slash abc slash xyz slash pqr, and inside that you want to store. I guess you got the point, right? If you have any confusion, you can ask me in the comment section. So if, as soon as I press enter, now my current directory is now changed to C colon C programs. It is, I'm in the same folder here in this command prompt, the way no, as it is, in this Windows browser. It is the graphical view of the folder. It is the sort of the command prompt view of the folder. If I want to see from here what are my files, what are the files there inside that folder, I'll be typing this DOS command there. Or if you're using Linux, then you have to use ls command, but more or less you'll get an equivalent command there also. So as soon as you write this command, you'll be seeing what are the files there inside this folder. Other than this dot and two dots, some specific directory, hidden directories, you'll be seeing, okay, this file is there, p1.c file is there, and that is this p1.c file here. Let me create here, just for the sake of an example, one text file here. I'm just creating it here, and again I'm executing this dir command. Then you'll be seeing here new text document 0 bytes size is listed here. So basically, this is your current directory, in the sense right now in this command prompt you have opened C colon C programs folder. This is the command prompt view. This is the graphical user interface view. Got it? Now, since now we are inside this particular folder, then from here, what we can do is we can now we are ready. Okay, so we are ready to make use of this GCC program. So what we'll be doing is we'll be writing GCC. Okay, we want to execute the program GCC, and we also know that this program actually needs the minimum thing that it needs is it needs the name of the file that you want to convert to machine level language. So my name of the file is p1.c, so I'll be typing p1.c. So what am I asking the computer is, okay, you compile the source file p1.c, or you convert the source file p1.c to its equivalent p1.exe file. Okay, I press enter here. Now let's see, as soon as I press enter, you notice this a file is created. Okay, from where this name a is coming, you might be thinking, yeah, by default, if whatever the program you convert, by default automatically the name of the exe file will be a. If you're using Linux, then it will be a.out. If you're using Windows, it will be a.exe. But by default, that will be the the name of the program. Now see, this A is an application now. Now what it means is that you can execute this A. And how you can execute this A, you just have to, in the command prompt, you just have to type the A and press enter. See, as soon as you type A and press enter, you'll be seeing this hello world coming on the screen. And that is the output actually of the program. You just wrote your first C program only by installing the GCC compiler. See, now that program could be anything, basically. Any valid C program you can write in p1.c and you can compile it and you can execute it in this way. Got the point? Now, just a few more things here. Let me tell you. This GCC you can write. Now, you want to compile the file p1.c, and I'll be talking about errors and all this stuff in the coming videos. Don't worry. But suppose you write the program in the right way, and then what you can do is now GCC. This is the source file. Now, by default, the executable is A, but you might not want to call this executable A always. So, in that case, if you want, you can specify the name of the executable. What is the syntax for doing it? From command prompt, you'll be writing output minus O, that is an option, minus O. It means you want to call your output file as whatever the name you want to call it. Say I want to call it, for example, p1.exe. Done. As soon as I press enter, see, automatically this p1 application file is created. Now I can execute that p1 file just by writing p1 from here and press enter. The program is executed. Now see, if you have this GCC compiler installed, then you can actually write any C program. You realize the fact, right? You can write any C program and it will work. Okay then, so that way we just have completed this first step. It means we have now our computer ready with the minimum thing that we need to write C program and execute C program, right? So the minimum requirement is now fulfilled, isn't it? Now the second step, the extra thing, right? Like the software that is going to give you the comfort when you type your code, and that software is Visual Studio Code Editor. I mean, as I said, this piece of software is not mandatory. Without this software also you can manage, but the thing is, if you have these, it will give you some extra benefits or extra advantages. Now, what the main goal of this Visual Studio Code Editor will be, see here, this Visual Studio Code Editor is going to help you only to create this source file. That's all. It doesn't know how to compile, it doesn't know how to execute of its own by default. Okay, but its main goal will be to help you create these source files in a easy way, or in a comfortable way. One snap I showed here, like say for example, if you only type PRIN and that's all, automatically just after typing three or four, or first few letters, maybe 2 3, automatically this intelligence pops out. It will tell you, it will suggest you what could be the possible word that you might be typing. Okay, so it means this Visual Studio Code Editor, you can sort of customize, or you can sort of create the C environment inside this Visual Studio Code Editor. When I say C environment, in the sense that Visual Studio, you can let Visual Studio Code Editor know actually in advance, like what are the syntax, what are the the inbuilt functions are there. All these information you can put inside Visual Studio Code Editor. You do not have to do much things there. It's just like pulling some plugins from the internet, that's all. So that way you will be putting some advanced information, some information about C programming language in some way, I'm telling you, in Visual Studio Code Editor. So those information will be useful for you when you actually type your code. That way, while typing the code itself, you'll be knowing if there could be any possible error in your code, or maybe you might those helps you will get. Okay, that is my main point. I can like instead of telling you the story verbally, what I'd like to do is first you install it, then with the examples automatically you will come to know how it is going to be useful for you people. So here also there are three steps, like download the installer, install the editor, and install a few plugins to create the C environment. Okay, so to get this sort of supports. Okay, then let's now start with this step, download the installer. For that reason, in Google, you type Visual Studio Code, that's all. And here you will get this, the first link you just click, there you will get a download for Windows. If you are using Windows operating system, then you can download it for Windows. Otherwise, you can choose any one, whatever it is that not the operating system in your computer, you can choose that accordingly. And then if you click on this download, then it will download the installer in your computer. Once that setup file is downloaded in your computer, you go to your download folder, or wherever your downloads default download storage is. You go to that folder, and then you'll be seeing this setup file there. Okay, and since I have downloaded it more than once, it's coming like this, but you should see at least once this setup file. Okay, and your version number certainly could be different, like when you actually seeing this video based on that, but more or less a setup file you will see on the screen like this. Now once you have that, what you have to do is you just have to double click there, that's all. And then it will ask whether you accept the agreement or not. You know this process, right? You just have to accept it. You will click on next. Let this default folder location be, no, let this folder location be like that only. Don't need to change anything here, and no need to change anything here, and no need to change anything here also. And then click on install. Within moments, this Visual Studio Code Editor should be installed in your computer. It might, based on your internet connection, it might vary, but it will be in this case. You can see I'm showing you it in real time, so within like few seconds, the installation is done. I'll just click on this finish button. Done. Now that way my Visual Studio Code Editor is actually installed in my computer. Okay. Now once automatically this Visual Studio Code Editor will be opened immediately after installation. But what you can do is you can close and you can again start from the beginning. Like in your search bar, you type Visual Studio Code. This app should appear. You just click here. Now Visual Studio Code will be opened on your screen like this. Now, from here, you see here what I said you is Visual Studio Code editor is a text editor basically. So you can think of since it is a text editor, it means it can do all the things what Notepad can do. Notepad is also a text editor. This one is also a text editor. Only thing is that it is more powerful. Visual Studio Code has more, many times more features than Notepad editor. But since Visual Studio Code Editor can do all the things that you can do from Notepad, it means what? Without installing any plugins also, you should be able to write C code in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so let's start from that point, and then we'll be installing those extra plugins, okay, one by one. Let's proceed step by step, right? Okay, so for that reason, first thing that we'll be doing is we'll be going, see here, you remember in like few minutes back we have created a folder called C programs. We want to open that folder, or in some way you can say that we want to load that folder in Visual Studio Code Editor. It means we want to load that folder as our current folder. So how do you do that? You will be clicking on file, and you'll be clicking on this open folder, and from there You remember I created that folder in C drive. So C, and then the folder name was C program. So I'll be selecting this particular folder, and then I'll click on this select folder. Now that particular folder will be loaded in Visual Studio Code Editor. Now you see here, as soon as I load that folder, you can see these are the files actually that I created. I showed you, right? From the graphical user interface view and the command prompt view when I wrote dir and all. Do you remember? Yes. So those are the files which were shown. Now see, as soon as I load that particular folder, now you can see those files are automatically now coming, or no, they're shown in this Visual Studio Code Editor. It means now Visual Studio Code Editor's current directory is these C programs. You will be able to access any of these files. Okay, now if it is the case, let's click on this p1.c. Here you see this is just the code that we wrote. I mean, it's just not the same thing, the same file we are opening. Only thing is that we are opening it in a different editor. That's all. But the file is same. You should realize that point. Up to this point, things are clear. Okay, then what I'll do is I'll close it and I'll create a new file here. Okay, I'll be clicking on this plus button, and I'll just, for the sake of an example, I'm showing you, I'm creating a new file here, p2.c. See, again, the extension you should give as .c. One help immediately. Now it looks nice, no? Like the C is automatically coming. At least it looks nice for the time being. That much benefit we are getting from this Visual Studio Code Editor. But there are many more actually. Okay, just wait for a few minutes. p2.c, I write here and I press enter. So a p2.c file is created. Now it is this C file. This file is created now. Now there, what I can do is I can type my code. Now has include. Now I'm writing standard input output dot h. Right now, Visual Studio Code Editor is not giving me any support. I mean, say for example, here I write integer. Now it is, as soon as I type in, it is not showing me the t integer. Say for example, main. I'm writing main. No, it has not shown me any help. And then say for example, now I want to type here printf, but no, it is not giving me any help. But you remember I showed you a picture at the beginning where a snap of at the beginning where I showed like I typed and then automatically these options were coming. But that thing is not now right now available. Okay, so to make that thing available now, that's what I meant when I said like creating the environment of for C programming. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is to get that help. You see in your Visual Studio Code Editor left hand side, either you'll be seeing these three dots, additional views, or if you're like, I'm very much zoomed in actually, that's why by these icon, actually I'm looking for this particular, sorry, this particular extension icon. Okay, so if you're seeing it directly, it is fine. But if it is the case, like in my case here, you see, if I zoomed in a bit, there is not there are not enough space to show that particular icon also. So it is showing you this hamburger, not hamburger actually, it is showing you these three dots, right? And here if you click, you'll be seeing these extensions option. The point here is that whether you by default you can see it here, or you have to like look for somewhere, you will find these option extensions, or directly from the keyboard you can press Control Shift and X all together. Then if you do that, you'll be seeing this window coming up. Okay, so where you have to click on, you have to click on these extensions. Now on this window, use a search bar, you type there C++. That much only you have to type. Let's see what comes out. Yeah, the first option is C++ intelligence and developed by Microsoft. The first one only. Okay, you just click on this install option. Now, as soon as you click on install option, you should see this particular window with this logo there. Okay, if you are seeing it, then it means it is right. Now, in my computer, most probably it is already installed. So let me click on uninstall. I'll just do a quick restart of Visual Studio Code. Don't mind for that. Visual Studio Code, and because that I already had installed most probably. But in your case, it will look something like this. You'll be clicking on extensions, and then you'll be clicking on in the search bar, you'll be writing C++, and then this first option you'll be clicking. Then it will look something like this. You have to click on install button, and it will install that particular plugin in your computer. Okay. Now, once it is installed, you just have to, since you have installed the new plugin, you have to restart. Okay. You have to, that is, you have to close Visual Studio Code, and again you have to open Visual Studio Code. So once it is done, then what you should be able to see is now, let's say I remove this printf again, the same typing I will continue this program. Now I'm writing here PRIN. Now see here, after the installation of that CC++ intelligence plugin, now I can see as soon as I type print PRI, automatically these options are coming. Okay, yeah, certainly you need to know that you have to type their printf, but the thing is that it reduces your typing actually in some way. Like you just write PRI and you're seeing this printf, you press enter, automatically the rest of the characters will be printed for typed for you. Okay, that is one another help, right? You can see the benefits. I can like, point out those benefits to you, but I know like you can see the benefits without actually me mentioning those things point by point. I guess you got the point, right? Now, yeah. Now printf. Now here I want to write hello world. Certainly here I do not need any intelligence, because now that part, whatever I write within this double quotation, it is actually like sort of some input to the program. I'll be coming to this printf statement in the next video, in the next part of the video. So don't worry for time being. Just write it as it is. So I'm writing printf hello world, and then I want to write here, say for example, return. So as soon as I type RET, you can see this return option is coming. So okay, let me press enter, return, and then I'm writing here 1, done. Now see, that way Visual Studio Code Editor helps you with some support, like it now when I installed that extension like CC++ intelligence, C++ thing, when I installed this one there, it it all installing that thing in the Visual Studio. It means that in Visual Studio, you can think of it in this way. In Visual Studio, I added some, to Visual Studio I gave some information about the C programming language, like what are the inbuilt functions, or what are the keywords and all this stuff. So that way Visual Studio Code Editor is now it now knows the general syntax of, or the common functions of C programming language, and that's how it is actually able to suggest you what you might be typing. But only those things are only suggestions. Okay, you do not think that the computer is capable of writing programs of its own. It's not the case. It's just suggesting you some some possible things deterministically. Okay, done. Now okay, we have written the code. Now how we can execute the program? Okay, now see, up to this point, only one help we were getting, like we were actually getting the intelligence support, like what we are typing, it can actually, based on our typing, it suggests us like what we might be typing. That part you have understood. Now, the second advantage that you will be getting from using this Visual Studio Code Editor is that you can directly execute the program from this Visual Studio Code Editor itself. Yeah. Now, for that, what you have to do actually. So to execute these programs from directly this Visual Studio Code Editor, what you can do is you can the first thing is that you have to actually install another extension there. Okay, so let me install it. So another extension you'll be installing is this code runner. Code runner. It should come. Code runner, this one. Okay, run C++ Java from Visual Studio Code directly. Okay, so you'll be clicking on this code runner, and then you'll be clicking on this install button. It will be installed, and as I said, no, once you install a new plugin, you have to usually restart. In my case, actually it is mandatory, sort of. I don't know, you just try in your computer, but I think if it is, it's a good idea that you restart your Visual Studio Code Editor after installing any plugin there. Now, once it is installed, now see, after installation of that, now you can see here extension, and then here again, if I write code runner, then you should be able to see that that particular piece of software is installed. It means it is showing you the option for uninstalling. It means it is already installed. Now, if you want, you can uninstall certainly. Now, what is the advantage of uh, uh, using that code runner? Okay, for that again, okay, let me show you first that we have installed the code runner. Now let's say we want to execute this program, then how we can execute the program. So after installing code runner, if you now right click on the program anywhere, you just have to right click on the program and run code. If you click on run code, then It will show you the output of the program in this way. Okay, now there are a few things I have to tell you here. You just have to, see, it might look fast forward, huh? Hold on. Now, what we did till now is we wrote this program p2.c. You understood that. Up to that point, there is no problem. And since we have installed that CC++ intelligence software or plugin, it means we are getting support while we are typing the code. Up to that point, everything is fine. Now we are at the point where we want to execute our programs. Now, see, this program you can certainly execute from the command prompt, the way I showed you. See, let me start from that point. Okay. So suppose I want to execute this program p2.c, and you can certainly execute the program from command prompt. So you can type their command, and then like where is your current folder. So you'll be writing cdc colon slash cprograms, and then this is your current directory. Then you can type C. If I type dir, then you'll be seeing p2.c is there. So I can type here, I can type easily here GCC compiler p2.c. You compile this particular file and you store the output in some file, say p2.exe. Okay, it is done. Now you can execute p2 just by writing the name of p2. So that is the normal procedure of executing that is the procedure of executing a C program from command prompt. That is okay, fine. Every time you write the code, you can go there and you can execute the program from there. That is fine. You can do that. But other than that, also directly from this Visual Studio Code, you can see the output of a C program, how it is. So for that reason, what you have to do is, first thing, as I showed you, you have to go to the extension. You have to install this code runner. Once that code runner is installed in a computer, that plugin is installed in your Visual Studio Code editor, then in the source code, whatever the program that you are writing, in that program, you just right click on the program, and then you'll be seeing this this pop-up menu, and from there you have to click on this run code option. If you click on run code option, the program will show you the output the way it is shown here. Now see, there is a point I wanted to tell you. There are many different tabs there. You see here, there is this problem tab, there is this output tab, there is this debug console, and there is this terminal tab. Okay, now see this, when you do this thing in this way, like go to run code, the output is shown in output tab. Okay, the output is shown in output tab. You might be thinking, yeah, obviously output will be shown in output tab. Where is the problem? The problem is that if your program is only outputting, then there is no problem. But if your program is trying to take some input from the user, then this approach will create problem. What I mean by this is just hold on. Here you might not like have seen, and if you are not familiar with what does that mean, int a equal to 12 means, don't worry for the time being. Okay, I'll be explaining you those concepts, but I just wanted to show you a problem. Okay, so now say for example I write here scanf. This particular function is used to accept input from the user, and suppose I want the user to enter a integer number, and that is how you achieve the thing in C programming language. Okay, if you write something like this, it means that your program should wait for the user to enter an integer number from the keyboard, and that number you want to store in the variable a. So by default I stored 12. After execution of this particular line, whatever the user has entered, that number will go to this particular variable. That much only I just wanted to introduce, but I'll give you a formal introduction to those scanf functions, you don't worry. Okay, now there I again write, say whatever the user enters, I want to print it on the screen. Say okay, say for example here I just want to print say done. Okay, that is after entering the number, it will automatically display done message on the screen. Now let's run this program in this way. Right click and click on run code. Now see, as soon as I do that, it will show you running cdc colon programs and this. It is just showing you that it is running, but it is nowhere displaying you this hello world or this scanf thing. See, even if I press enter from my keyboard, nothing is happening actually. So that is the problem I was telling you, I was talking about. So by default, you can execute a C program by right clicking on it, and then by clicking on this run code. So when you do that, by default, the option is that the output will come in the output window. But what happens is if we want our program to take any input from the user, like using a scanf statement or something like that, then what we want is we want our output to be there in this terminal. I mean, to be, we want our output to be displayed in a terminal. Now, what is a terminal? This is actually a terminal. This one is actually a terminal. Now see, from here, if I execute this program P2, there will be no problem. See, say for example, I type here GCC P2. I have to recompile the program that you can comprehend, I guess. I'm writing GCC P2.c and then output I want to store in, say, P2. I enter, and then this thing return one existed. What is this? Permission is denied. What? Oh, permission is denied. Okay, this thing is going on or what? So this code is running, that's why it is showing you permission is denied. So what you do is that you right click on this this message, and then you'll be seeing this stop code run. Just click on that button, it will stop running the code. Okay, and then you go to your command prompt again, and then again try to recompile the program. Done. This time no error, the program is recompiled. Now executable is in P2, so I'm writing P2, I'm executing the program. Now hello world is coming, and after that you see the cursor is blinking here. The program is not yet over, and what we wrote in the program, see, after displaying hello world, it should enter some number. The user should enter some number from the keyboard. Until and unless you enter the number here and press enter, the program will wait for you. So for that reason, I'm just writing here 23 and pressing enter. Now, as soon as I press enter, the number goes to the variable a, and it displays this message down on the screen, as you can see here, and return one. That ends that is the end of the program. Although, like, you just right now your concern is not to understand these few lines here. Okay, I'll be explaining you the meaning of each and every line in my coming videos. But my point here is right now to show you the problem when you actually try to execute a program, C program, by making use of this run code option available in Visual Studio Code. By default, if it is only outputting, then there is no problem. But if it is also taking input, then what you want to do is you want to execute your program in a terminal. It's something like this. This is called as a terminal. Now see, this terminal you can access from Visual Studio Code also. Okay, like from there also you can access. See, this is your terminal actually. From here also you can access the terminal. Now see, to do that thing, see, every time you run this program, automatically if you want to run the program in a terminal, then you have to do the final settings. Okay, this is most probably is the final settings that you have to do, and your computer will be ready. Okay, so to do that, the first thing that you have to do is you have to click on this file option, then you have to click on these sorry, and just a second, preference options. Okay, like a file option, then preferences. You might be thinking I forgot. Yes, I mean, no, these things you have to do only once. Okay, and that's all. Once you do that, if you don't use it, certainly you will forget it. You understand that, right? Yes, you click on file, and then you have to click on these preferences, and then see, you just have to keep your mouse cursor on preferences, and then you have to go to settings. Here you click on settings, and there you can actually see everything is mixed up. I mean, this window I don't need. Now see, in settings, if you click on settings, right now you are on settings, and then you can click on these extensions, or what you can do is in the search settings you can directly type, say, command prompt. That word you type, it will show you something. prompt, command prompt is not there. Command you type, okay, run code configuration, actually it should be here somewhere. Okay, if it is confusing, again let me start from the beginning, don't worry. First click on file, and then click on open sorry, no. Okay, you click on file, and then you click on, scroll down and go to this preferences option. Keep your mouse cursor here, this window will appear. From here you have to select this settings option, click there. Once these settings are open, you open this settings window, then you click on these extensions. I mean, expand the these extensions tab, and you scroll down inside that extension tab until you get this point run code configuration, this point. Okay, you click there, run code configuration, then you scroll down. See, when you click on run code configuration, this window will appear. You just have to scroll down slowly. Somewhere very close you will find, like after scrolling say a few lines, as you can see here, I'm scrolling down, down and down till I get my no till I get yeah, finding it is slightly it's confusing certainly, but you will get it here. See, this was the thing I was looking for. Run in terminal, run code configuration. You click on this run. You just have to check on this particular option there, run in terminal. Okay, and done. Now what you have to do is, again, you go to file, you scroll down and you go to preferences, you go to settings, and there in settings you will see the things in this way actually. Okay, in settings window by default you might see the things in this way. You have to expand this extension, and then in extension scroll down till you get this run code configuration. In run code configuration you have to scroll like a few times, like it will start with R, so you just go to R option, PQR here, run in terminal. So by default it will look something like this. You have to click on this run in terminal option, and that's all. You don't have to save it. I mean, it automatically it will be saved. Okay, done. Once it is done, you close this window, and then you right click and then you click on this same thing, run code option. Now see, as soon as you do that, now see here, the output is not shown in this output tab anymore. The output is shown it now in this terminal tab, and there it is. See, it is behaving as expected. It is displaying you hello world, and then it is waiting for you to enter a number. I type the number, I press enter. Now it is showing you done, and the program is over. You got the point? Now see, from this Visual Studio Code editor itself, now you can certainly do that. You can go to this command prompt and you can execute your programs, but the thing is, it is now not necessary. The same thing you can achieve just by right clicking on the program and clicking on this run code. That is one thing. Okay, but the thing is, when you install this code runner, automatically this option, this button will come. I mean, this particular play button will come on the right hand side top corner. So you click on this drop down menu, and then you select this run code option. Okay, like by default, if it is like, I guess, this one, so if it is like this, then you select this, and then run code option you select. So as soon as you do that, your play button should appear only. Okay, now next time onwards, whenever you write a program, yeah, you can right click, you can run code, or what you can do is you can simply click on this button, play button. So that way also your program will be it will be compiled, and then it will be executed. Say for example 34 and enter. Then you might be thinking, so what will happen if I write a wrong program and then I click on this play button? What happens? Now see, that time certainly it is not that full. It will see here, obviously, when you write a wrong program, you might be asking, why is it wrong? How do I know it is wrong? Yes, don't need to worry about those things. Those you'll be automatically learning. But say, for example, I'm telling you that not writing the semicolon here is a wrong thing. Okay, it is according to the rule of C programming syntax, it is a wrong thing. And if you write a wrong program and then you try to compile it, as I said in like previously, that a wrong program cannot be compiled by the compiler. It means it cannot convert this source code to its equivalent machine code. So that way, if you try to run the program, you will end up with these error messages like expected semicolon before return. See, it's quite gentle, isn't it? I mean, it's gently saying you, politely saying you, okay, you did that mistake, please make it right, something like this. Okay, you put the semicolon, and then you again click on this, and again the program is fine, it is executed. You enter the value here 21 and press enter. Done. This 21 I pressed by mistake, I typed by mistake, and done. Okay, so that is how you can execute. Now see, the advantage of Visual Studio Code, you don't have to go anywhere, right? I mean, okay, the p2.c is done. Now what you want to write another program, say for example p3.c. Just for the sake of an example, I'm showing you. Okay, I'll be writing more or less the same program. Hash include. Now see, this time these help menu will come. See, automatically all these different something.h files are coming. I mean, these are, you will come to know, these are some header files actually. These are some already written C programs put inside some files. Those files we call as header files. I'll be again talking about these header files in details in my coming videos. But for the time being, let's write here standard input output.h, this file. And then same program I'll be writing more or less. But this time you see, I just have to type little, I know, automatically I'm getting the help. So int main. For main there is no suggestion because main is a user defined function, that's why it's not coming like that. So I'll be talking about this, what is an user defined function instead. Don't worry, in main, and then I'm writing here printf and say hello world or anything, say no, enter a number and say slash n. I'll be talking about slash n again in, in the next video, certainly scanf. And then there I'm writing percentage d and address of the variable is a, but the thing is I have to declare this a variable as it is and done. Then here let me just display whatever the user has typed this time. So I'll be writing printf percentage d comma a. You don't need to worry about like what am I doing here. Okay, I'm just typing a program and I'm showing you how directly just by typing, and how from the same place you can type, you can run your code. That's all my goal is. Like, okay, as less n, the entered number is percentage d and a, done. That's all, that's my program. So if you now see the advantage of high level programming language, even if you do not know anything about, say for example, okay, you just have started, okay, so I'm assuming that even if you do not know anything about C programming language, but then also if you read this code, you'll be able to make some sense about like what this program is doing. Enter a number, you can assume, okay, it is asking the user to enter a number, and whatever the number the user has entered, most probably it will display that number on the screen. You can assume that thing just by looking at, because it is more or less written in English. That's the advantage of high level programming language. Actually, it's quite readable, it's quite close to our human notations. So that way, if you write code in high level programming language, it becomes easy to find out those errors, maybe logical error, maybe syntax error, or whatever it is. These tasks are comparatively easy in high level programming language. That's an advantage. Okay, but anyhow, let's now, once we have finished writing this code, you can click on this run code button. I'll be clicking on this button. You can see it is now opening, it is showing you the output along with some other things. Don't need to worry much about it right now. In the terminal it will show you the output. Now output is enter a number. Let's see, enter a number, as it is coming here, and it's waiting for me here to enter a number actually. Due to this new line, the cursor is here. Say for example, I enter the number as 23 and I press enter. As soon as I press enter, it is showing me, okay, entered number is, see, entered number is 23. I execute the program one more time, and I write the number as 45, and I can see that entered number is 45. I see that is how like we would like to use this Visual Studio Code editor. It feels like now, you just can write the code here. You can see the output immediately there. Okay, that is one way. And another way, the last way, okay, I just let me finish this thing in this way. Now say for example, when you type the code in this way, okay, and then suppose you do not want to, for some reason you do not want to execute your code in this way, for some reason you do not want to execute your code in this way, okay, so you still have another option. Three ways I showed you, right? I mean, this one option, this is the other option. These two are from Visual Studio Code, and then from the command prompt, that is the third one. In Visual Studio Code there is this fourth option also, okay, like fourth way of doing the same thing. So you just click on these three ellipses, but if since I zoomed in, that's why these three ellipses are coming, because of lack of space there. But in your case it might look something like this, okay, like run, terminal, and help. So you have to click on this terminal option. If you can see it directly, you can click it there directly, or if you're seeing it like this, then you have to click on these three dots there, and you have to select this terminal. Then new terminal, you just select a new terminal. Basically you'll be opening this terminal window. Now you can consider like it is the same terminal, the command prompt. In what sense? You can type there in this way, GCC. You can directly call the compiler GCC, and then compile the program, say it is p3.c, and you store the output in p3. Done. sorry, I wrote it wrong. You store the output in p3 in the sense like output you store in p3.exe. You can write. If you do not want, you can leave that. Okay, so that way. Now your program is compiled and then the output will be stored. The exe file will be created by this name p3. Then you just have to execute it by writing p3. But simply if you write p3, you will end up with this error. But again, along with this error, you can see it is suggesting you that you should write p3 in this fashion actually to get the output. So let's write it in this fashion. Dot slash, sorry, that's a dot slash p3. That's all. So in this fashion, if you write, see, you are getting the output. Enter a number. Okay, I'm entering the number as 39 and pressing enter. Enter number is 39. How do you do that? Let's do it one more time. GCC compiler, you compile the program p3.c, store the output in p3.exe or p3 directly. Done. Once that p3 is created, you want to execute it. How you're going to do is you're going to put this dot, you are going to write this dot, then this backward slash, and then the name of the executable. Press enter, you'll get the output. Enter the number 43. Done. Okay, then these are the options that these are the ways that you can actually execute a C program. You can type a C program and you can execute compile and execute a C program. Okay, so let's like summarize the thing what we did, and like what you will once you have followed up to this point, then what are the things that you have in your computer. Let's do a recap about it. Okay, so what will happen is, see, if you have followed the video, then you have downloaded and installed this GCC compiler, So it means your compiler is ready. And also we did this Visual Studio Code editor to get helps like this. Or also if you are using Visual Studio Code, then we just have seen that from Visual Studio Code itself, we can directly, execute our programs. So these two steps we have, we have done in this part of the video. So that way we made our Visual Studio Code editor ready now. We are now any program, any C program we have to write. We just have to create a new file. We just say, for example, p4.c, press enter, write the code here. Once the code is there, you can right click on it, you can click on run, or you can open the terminal, you can do this GCC way, or you can click on this play button and the code will be executed. To make this C environment, what we did is we installed those two packages like plugins. One is the CC++ intelligence and the other one is code runner. That's all. Now your computer is ready, and now you are ready to write any C programs that you want without you do not need any internet connection, nothing you need actually. Everything is there in your computer. Your computer is now a programmer's computer. So let's then, now we are ready to start this journey actually. Okay, having said so, at the beginning I already in the beginning I said that suppose for some reason if you do not have a computer, then what to do, how you can practice C programming then. So if you do not have a computer, only have a smartphone. So if you do not have a computer, then there are ways. I mean, you can, if you are like if you are studying in an institute, then in that institute there might be some some facility of lab, computer lab. So what you can do is you can go to the lab and you can like set up a computer there in the lab. By taking prior permission from your from the administration. So that way, that is one solution. The other solution is that, okay, then if you have a very good friend, then you can ask your friend to help you. And the see here, yeah, in India these things happens actually. Like uh, we do that, right? I mean, we know how to share things because we live like 100 crore people in India, so we know how to share things in a friendly way. So that is another thing that you can do. You can ask your friend for a favor. Certainly, they will help you. I used to get favor from my friends when I was a student. Okay, so I have quite confidence on my friends. I mean, on friendship. So on that ground also, you can expect a lot. And the third option is that suppose you don't have a lab access, you don't have any good friends. I mean, you just do not want to bother your friends. Say for example, and then only you have is your smartphone. In that case, how you can manage? Yes, if you only have the smartphone, then also you can manage. How? For that reason, you just go to Google. Google is there, no? Yeah, you go to Google and there is right type online C code editor or C compiler or whatever. Yeah, this is the website that I was like, about to tell you. Program is okay. This website. I'll put the link of this website in the description section. I don't know whether it is legal or illegal, but if it is illegal, let me know it in the comment section. But just for I think I'm spreading knowledge in some way, so that should not be a problem, I guess. So this is the link of the of that particular website. So now what you can do is on this link, this will provide you a online editor in online what it will do basically is that it will accept your code from here, okay, and it's the compiler is there in their server. So what it will do is whatever you type from here, it will send this entire code to the server. In the server they have this GCC compiler installed, so it will submit this part of the code to the server's GCC compiler. It is not in your computer, okay, it will be somewhere else in some other computer. So that computer will execute the program, whatever it is the output, maybe the error, maybe output, or whatever it is, as it is, it will display it here. You'll feel like actually you are executing the code locally in a computer. Okay, so this is your online editor. So if you want, you can practice your program here also. Say for example, as soon as you start the online editor, you'll be seeing this part of the code automatically written. It is basically the skeleton of any C program that you would ever write. So for that reason, automatically this much comes. Okay, this much comes. Sorry, automatically this much come. So you just click on this run button to execute the program, and you can see this hello world is coming. Let me now copy this code that I wrote here, like this program, and I will paste this part of the code here. Done. And I want to execute this program. I'll be clicking on this run. You can see enter a number. It is waiting for you to enter a number from the keyboard. Now it is behaving exactly the same way as if you're executing the program in your local computer. Say I'm entering 45, I'm pressing enter. Entered number is 45. Now it's like you will not feel much actually, even if you're using this online editor. Yeah, this online code editor is okay, fine, but thing is that for that reason, to use this online code editor, you need to have this internet connection always on. If it is the case, then I think you can manage, but then also first, it is a good idea that actually you create your own setup in your local computer, because what will happen is that you might not be able to save these files there, I mean directly. Okay, the way you can save your files in your local computer, here it might not allow you to actually create those many files there, store your programs there or not. It might actually, if you want, you can explore, but I have not used this online editor much. I just wanted to tell you that this option is there. If you do not have any other option left, then certainly this is the way I know that you can follow. Okay guys, then that much only in this video. See you guys in the next part of the video with some new content. Till then, have a nice day.